What is up, guys? It's Paxel
And Chronos.
from Team Ultimate D Time. That sound effects, though. Alright, today we're going to be deck profiling a custom deck that I built. Been testing it for a while, using everything under the sun that can help make this deck faster. Of course, I'm talking about Last Warrior from another planet. That's a absolute hero, isn't it? That was great. So you put the F-Zero on top, make them think you're playing heroes, and then you summon heroes. There's heroes in this deck. So the Last Warrior says you can't summon, says you can't special summon, says you can't flip summon. Sounds like everything that this meta loves to do. So basically, I try to turbo this out first turn, and when I do, I try to win from there. Really simple game plan, and we'll see how I like to execute that. So, first off, the fusion materials for Last Warrior is Zumbira the Dark. Awful card, 2100 attack. Can't attack directly. If you could attack directly, that'd be great. 2 Mariokatai. Negate spells, the other material for Last Warrior. If these 2 cards were better, this deck might actually be usable. 3 King of the Swamp. They substitute those cards and search polymerization. That's like 2 things that I need for this deck. Almost the only 2 things.
King of Swamps is pretty good.
Yeah. Next is Prisma. He also acts as like those materials, which means I don't have to summon those things because I can summon like 1700 beaters that act like those things. Works for me. I also supplement that with a Blaze Man, because Blaze Man searches Poly. And
420.
Poly is something I need to fusion summon with, because unfortunately I don't have shit all fusion.
Hashtag 420. Blaze Man.
For consistency's sake, I also play Summoner Monks. I play like 9,000 spells. Exaggeration.
Over 9,000 spells?
Exaggeration!
Right.
It helps bring out Zumbira the Dark, Blaze Man, Prisma, any of those guys out of the deck so I can get my fusion summon off. Does a great job of it. And the secondary part of the lockdown, after you get Last Warrior out, is Denko Sekka. Yeah. So after your opponent can't do any type of summoning, I stop their traps permanently and stop them from setting spells and traps. Pretty awesome card, if you ask me. The only reason why I have these cards currently is to play this deck. I used to play them in dolls, but that's no more. For consistency, we're going on to the spells, and that's what all these spells are for. Consistency and some removal. But consistency, Fusion Conscription, brand new card from Cross Souls. It lets me search fusion materials by revealing a fusion monster and then adding one of the materials from it. I can't summon that material, but who needs to?
Especially when they're awful cards like that.
Yeah, he's got a point. Next, 3 Rhoda, Reinforcement of the Army. Lets me get to Zumbira and my heroes. Works for me. 2 E-Calls. Gets to the heroes, but not to Zumbira. That's why it's at 2, and the Rhoda's at 3. 3 Upstart Goblins. Because drawing into the Searchers gets me to the Fusion. Then we play 3 Polys, because I have no way to get Poly out of the graveyard, so if I run out of Polys, I lose. So there's... Of course you might have been thinking, so how do I get the Denko on board if I have Last Warrior on board? That's where this card comes into effect. Forbidden Chalice. Forbidden Chalice lets me negate the effects of Last Warrior for a turn. Also gives it 400 attack boost, which could matter if they have something that's like... Dante. Can swing over that. And, you know, protect my Last Warrior from getting destroyed by battle or something. I don't know how they're going to get Dante out, but... So I can use this. This will let me summon something for that turn, and it'll usually be Denko Sekka, and that'll get 2/3 of the lock going. Of a hard lock, as opposed to a soft lock. Since this is... I'll go into this card next. For removal, because I don't like getting Dijin locked or having big beaters on board, I play Regeki and Dark Hole. I have tried 2 Dark Holes. I don't feel like I need it. The deck is very fast as is, and I can get to Dark Hole pretty easily if I need it, like one of these 2. Otherwise, I kind of lose because it's Last Warrior. But that's besides the point. Because this deck can go into a deck out state where the only thing that can happen in the game state is a deck out, I play Iron Core Kwakimeru. So I don't deck out, especially since how much searching this deck does. And my opponent can deck out, so I get the win. And the third piece of the lock, the final piece of the puzzle, Anti-Spell Fragrance. Anti-Spell Fragrance says you have to set spells before activating them. Denko Sekka says you can't set. Last Warrior says you can't summon. Nothing can be played. The only out that's like commonly played is Breakthrough Skill. And you have to discard from your hand and then banish it from grave to actually do something with it. Beyond that, it's a hard lock. The game state is unplayable. You cannot do anything in the game state. You can't play MST. You can't play Dark Hole. You can't summon. You can't activate a trap. That's the whole game right there. Alright, so the extra deck is, as you could expect, the 3 Last Warriors.
What?
Obviously, you need to play 3 because the conscription says that you have to reveal one of these. Prisma says you have to reveal 1 to send. And also, you don't want to run out of them because that's the win condition. I also play an Absolute Zero. Great removal effect. He's also something that I play on top of my deck, of my extra deck. So if I play like that, and someone sees like, oh, that's an Absolute Zero. He's playing heroes. They could play to a completely different play style than if they were just playing against Last Warrior. People don't go YOLO against heroes. The rest of the extra deck really doesn't matter. It's just generic rank 4s. Nothing really notable besides maybe the Dark Rebellion because that can get over a lot of things. And the crazy box from playing against Skill Drain. That's a big one. And that's pretty much it. That's Last Warrior, Denko Sekka, Anti-Spell Fragrance. I don't have a catchy name for this deck. It's just a deck.
Any last words about it?
If you don't open Last Warrior, you lose. For the most part, you do have some rank 4 plays. It's not completely crazy that you can just beat down someone with Denko Sekka, because Denko Sekka is such a crazy good card. I like the deck. It's not. I wouldn't bring this deck to a regional unless I was paid to. That's for you guys to do. But it's a fun deck as long as you don't mind if you like to watch your opponent get really salty about Yu-Gi-Oh. That's where the real fun from this deck comes.
Your field spell zone basically becomes your salt counter zone.
Yeah. You usually put a bunch of dice in that counter zone to see how many times they use the word fuck or how many times they start cursing out cards for being stupid. So yeah, thank you for watching, guys. Let me know down below what would you do if you had to build Last Warrior the deck. And leave a comment.